Welcome back to Jections. Fresh off a 1-0 defeat of Juve, 4 points clear at the top of the table with a game in hands. Only good things going on here. Miko, what's happening?
Hi, feeling very, very good. Thank you very much. I'm ready to go.
Jay, how are you doing at what I assume is dawn in Australia?
No, it's 9 a.m. now, so pretty good. Obviously, very happy with the results. So, yeah, let's get into it.
Irfan, what's up?
Not too much. Give me that second star. Let's go.
Sure seems like we're trending that way. Man, weird game, to be sure. We came out dominating in the first half, but just couldn't quite get a chance until we, got the Gatti own goal. Miko, how are you feeling about the first half?
Yeah, I like the first half, but as you said, we kind of couldn't get to their box in a way that we could have a good chances too much. There was this dimarco chance, and was the thuram chance. I think those were maybe the best ones, apart from the goal itself. But we dominated, as you said. It was like you had no business in the first half with the ball, but then I gotta say and like give a bit of respect to them that their counters were quite dangerous. They managed to pull off few counters with like a 2 or 3 players, and I don't know, it felt that we didn't have to like mess up a lot. We had to mess up just a little, and they immediately hit us behind our backs. And I think it was a domination by Inter, of course, but I noticed that Juve somehow managed to generate some kind of threat still without controlling the ball at all, basically.
It was weird because I don't know if Juve had a choice but to come out the way they did in the first half, which was sitting back deep and inviting pressure. But they were not generating counterattacks, and that's why I felt pretty comfortable in the match as we were trying to exert ourselves and looking for that first goal, because it really didn't seem like they were creating much. Vlahovic had a stupid yellow card and a blown opportunity early. That was really it. I thought he was pretty poor throughout. Jay, the goal came out of, I guess, individual brilliance. But before we get into the goal, I want to talk about what should have been a goal, which was the Bremer clearance of thuram, which all was initiated by a Hakan pass, I believe. Just general thoughts on Hakan for this game? I think you can easily argue he was the man of the match.
Yeah, they're definitely a strong candidate for player of the match. And as you said, that ball to find DiMarco was like a highlight reel, just inch perfect through pass. I spoke about this last week in the preview about fine margins, that ball from DiMarco into thuram was, it was just about there, but he needs to hit that with a fraction more power or kind of push it out just a fraction in front of thuram so that Bremer can't reach it, you know what I mean? So these are the small margins. And I guess in reality, we got a lot of small margins wrong, as did Juventus throughout the game. That Vlahovic touch that everyone's kind of talking about when Vlahovic was free in the box following that McKennie run, that's a fine margin. He gets that touch correct. Maybe he gets a shot, or maybe he just takes a shot first time. Who knows, But likewise, so many of our chances were right up until that last 5-10%, and I'm kind of relieved following the game. I'm relieved because, don't get me wrong, I'm obviously over the moon with the win, but at the same time, relieved that we weren't made to pay for missed chances, relieved that Juve didn't get one of their typical, bullshit, undeserved 90th minute penalties or whatever. Relieved that, how can I say, the game was not as stressful as it could have been. We kept them really subdued, and on one hand, part of me was thinking, I was like, man, these guys are eerily calm, and you got to be wary about that. And I thought to myself, if you look at that from the Juventus fans' perspective, you might be saying these guys are frustratingly timid or inactive because they had one shot on goal the entire game, and that was some swiveling Vlahovic kick from outside the box, which he didn't connect with cleanly, so that kind of slowly rolled to Sommer. Other than that, they didn't have a single shot on target, and so I don't remember the last time we just kind of relegated them to being pedestrians or to being passengers like this. So that was, for me, the most impressive thing about the game, the amount of control we exerted over them. Like I said, obviously, a bit of regret about not scoring more goals, especially that Thuram chance, that Arnautovic chance, the Barella chance, and the DiMarco chance were all, let's be real, they should be goals. But at the end of the day, 3 points, another clean sheet, and most importantly, an important mental victory over our hated rivals and nearest competitors for the title. So, perfect result.
Yeah, most of those chances we should have scored. I do want to give Szczesny some credit, though, because if you're looking at this from a neutral perspective, he might be the man of the match. He had some great saves. I'd say the Barella save was just world class. I thought Barella did almost everything he could have there. The Arnautovic miss, I thought Arnautovic could have done better, but neither here nor there. We got the win. Irfan, let's talk about the Gatti own goal. I'm curious your analysis of this. I've looked at this replay a few times now, and I'm not convinced Pavard or Thuram actually ever touched the ball. I don't know. Do you have any different thoughts on that, and just overall thoughts on the build up to it?
Yeah, no, the buildup was great. I think just overall today, you saw how much it matters to have like world-class talents, right? I mean, we benefited today from spectacular play from key players. So Hakan, I think we already talked about, but another one was Pavard. And whether or not he got that kind of spinning, kick, whether he made contact with that and pushed the ball along or not, I think he did enough to kind of disrupt the defense there. The ball in was good. He made himself available in the build-up to kind of set up play on that side. So he did a lot on that front to get that goal going. The ball in was great. But yeah, I don't think, looking at the replay, Pavard touched it or Thuram really touched it. I think Thuram kind of missed it. But, again, they did enough to disrupt Juve into kind of giving up that goal. So overall, it was a good build-up. It was a good result. I think one of the things that stood out to me, we're obviously, an Inter podcast, so we talk about Inter a lot, but a lot of the criticisms I think that we have of our team sometimes are exponentially worse for Juventus. Like if I was a Juve fan, I don't understand how I could look at the team that they have. They have like zero creativity on this team. Like the announcers were even talking about how Kostic wasn't that great this year. And McKennie's been good, and like they have good solid players like McKennie and Rabiot, and Vlahovic obviously is a good forward. But for the amount of criticism we give our team for the lack of like creative options, I mean, there's nobody on that team that I look at and I'm like, oh wow, like better look out for like a moment of brilliance from this person. Like back in the day, even if they weren't playing that well, you could expect dybala to come up with something out of nothing. You could expect how many times Cuadrado would come up with something out of nothing. But this team, it's nothing. It's rigid. It's predictable. That's why we all talked about how important it was for us to score first, because if we scored first, they almost had no chance to come back and score. And I think they did a good job. They played well. They played hard. Nothing taken away from them. But when you look at that team, up and down. I mean, there's really not much of a threat there other than Vlahovic coming up with something. But other than that, it's like this. They're not good enough. In my opinion, after watching them today and watching them a few times over the season, they've massively overachieved.
I totally agree with you. It's like somehow the difference of quality between these two teams it's a lot higher than these 4 points we have on the standings at the moment, and it's massive overachievement, like you said, that they are this close to us in the standings and like racing for the Scudetto when they can't do anything to us. After we scored the goal, I think they were like worse in the second half in terms of like getting anything happening in our box, anything like real. That one counter was more dangerous in the first half than anything they created. Well, okay, maybe the Gatti shot out outside the box was dangerous. That was a bit of a mistake by Inter, but other than that, I think we contained them very well.
They didn't make any chances of note. I was scared when Chiesa came on just because it's Chiesa and he's a good player. I think we're lucky we caught them, at a dip in his fitness, but it never seems like he's fit these days. He's always nursing some sort of injury, so that's their problem, not ours. I don't know. I'm not too worried about the way the second half went because I thought we were playing well for spurts of it. We came out a little soft, but towards the middle part of the half, the link-up play was good. It was just the final ball was missing something, which is kind of a recurring theme. In two fun stats from the game. So once again, we did not concede a goal in the last 15 minutes of the game, which has been the case all season. And we are, I believe, the first team ever to score in the first 22 games to start a season. We've scored in every game this year. We've scored in something like 30 league matches in a row. So we're becoming, it's been a potent attack, and maybe concerns about Juve keeping a clean sheet against us were, maybe we didn't need to be too worried about that because it just seems like we always manage to find one goal in a match. Open to any thoughts you guys have in the second half or just, once again, man of the match discussions. I think just talking about Pavard a bit, he was obviously involved in the goal indirectly, if nothing else. He had a great intervention on a Chiesa pass that stopped what looked like it was going to be a dangerous Juve move. Second match in a row, I think you can point to Pavard and say, here's a guy who had a tangible impact on the game.
Yeah, his class is notable. As people have been saying for a long time, there's a pedigree with Pavard. This is obviously a World Cup winner, Champions League winner, multiple-time German champion, and that pedigree of just constant winning and high performance is just so visible in the way he carries himself and the way he plays. So couldn't be happier with him and the game he put in today. At the same time, I did find it funny that I was just going through my Instagram after the game, and so many photos or so many posts are that, image of his kind of bicycle kick when in reality, I think he nailed it or hit the nail on the head. I don't think either he or Thuram even touched the ball. It just came in and it bounced off Gatti into the net. So
they didn't touch it.
Yeah, there was no touch. There was no touch whatsoever. I can't even remember who crossed it in. Was it Barella? Was it Darmian?
Yeah, but it was Barella.
Yeah, but if anything, Barella should be getting the kudos for that. But I just found it funny that my Instagram feed is just full of Pavard bicycle kick in slow motion or scissor kick in slow motion. But in the end, it was entirely, what can I say? He did not influence the trajectory of the ball at all. But I guess, look, Hakan for me is probably up there with Pavard as man of the match. I'm going to give Thuram a shout out as well, and Mkhitaryan. I keep coming back to this I don't want to call it a concern because it's not, but I keep coming back to this kind of strange thought that it's hard to give a man of the match because in some ways, no one stood out that much because Juventus just didn't pose that much of a threat to us. You know, the team was just evenly solid across the board. Even Dimarco, who was guilty of kind of spurning a couple of big chances or, you know, failing the final ball a number of times, he was still tearing them up down the left, you know, so even he had a good game, I thought. And everyone was just solid. It's been a long time since I've seen a performance like this against Juventus where everyone just played like a consummate professional. They rose to the occasion and they were kind of man for man across the board better than their Juventus counterparts. So I think it's actually quite difficult to pick a man of the match, but I guess if everyone's a 7 and then you got Pavard and calhanoglu who are like 7.5 or 8, then it has to be one of them.
Yeah, I think you said it very well that everyone like played evenly in a sense that, well, the whole team seems to know exactly what to do. They know what to do when we attack. But of course, like we've said many times, the final ball seems to be missing for some reason. But other than that, all the moves in the attacks, when we like have a takeaway in the midfield, like Juve lost the ball many times in the midfield and we countered them. We had very, very good attacks, but somehow we managed to miss the final ball. But other than that, it's very fluid, and we know when to go forward, when to cycle back, and we just have it in us at the moment very well, and nothing changed from the usual that okay, it's against Juve, because they just sit there and let us play, and we kind of pushed our game to them, and they couldn't do much apart from like having their box full of their players trying to intercept the crosses and the attacks, and we have everything under control in our game, and it's not missing almost anything, I would say, tactically, because we just have it, and it's not gonna. I don't see our game breaking during the season anymore, because it's so like polished and looking very good. If only we could finish a bit better than we saw today, since I was a bit frustrated during the match when we had so many attacks and we just couldn't finish those attacks.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's one of the things we've talked about throughout the year where, we're playing these teams that are not the same teams that they used to be. These fixtures are not the same fixtures that they used to be. This Juventus team, regardless of the fact that they're in second, is not the same Juventus team and the same type of team that we've always struggled with. And yet, even today, when I think we probably could have won this game 3-4-0, it still seemed like a grind at times. We might have seemed comfortable. They might have not offered much of anything, but it was still hard to score. We had so many good chances, and there was a couple of really good saves, and then, like we discussed, a couple of mistakes on our side or lack of kind of precision on our side. But still, all things considered, you look at this and you're like, it's a derby. It's at home. It's against Juventus. They're in second place. A 1-0 win, solid win. But to be perfectly honest, I wouldn't be surprised if some fans are looking at this game and thinking, man, we kind of left some on the table here. Like it could have been a more convincing, 5-0, 5-1, 4-0 type of win. And again, Juventus is not that type of team in terms of like they don't concede like that. They have the second best defense in the league. But I still think, you could be very honest and say that we should have won by at least 2 or 3 goals. So, again, I'm sure Jay probably feels this way, but I kind of feel like we almost left a little bit on the table, and we could have done even better.
Yeah, for sure. And for the history books, you know what I mean? It'd be great if the history books read we destroyed Juventus 3-0, 4-0, as we probably deserved to, but alas, we don't get that accolade, I'm afraid. But if we're, humble about it, the more important thing is the win than the scoreline. So I will gladly take it. But it did kind of bring to memory the win against Juve in the second Conte season, which was when we won the title, obviously. That game was similar in that we were all over them. That was the game where we scored from Vidal, and then that 80-meter ball from Bastoni to Barella that just split open the defense, and Barella scored 1-on-1. That game, we could have won 5-0, man. That game, it was Lautaro and Lukaku who were guilty of missing chances. Speaking of Lautaro, not the best game, to say the least. We remarked at the end of, or after the Fiorentina game, that he looked kind of sick. He was coughing and he looked really tired, and he definitely didn't look sharp today. Any concerns?
No.
I'll take that as a yes.
No concerns. No concerns. I think he was very well marked today, although he had a little more space in the second half when they couldn't be right next to him all the time. But he managed to mess up few things with the ball. But yeah, I think we couldn't play the ball to him as much as usual. But yeah, he wasn't as sharp today as we usually see. He couldn't get a shot on goal or a shot at all, I think. Or do you remember any shots from Toro? At least
yeah,
I don't.
He didn't get any shots off because he kind of kept failing to get his feet right. You know what I mean? Just couldn't get his feet organized and get the shot off. So it wasn't a great night from him. And there were a couple of not even shooting moments, but passing moments that he kind of got wrong as well. If I know I said that everyone kind of played well and he did his part, but I guess now that I think about it, you'd have to give him a 5 or 5.5 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a great game at all, unfortunately.
No, I'm not going to give 5. It's got to be 6.
I agree. I agree. He was not his usual self, and you could kind of tell. But again, I think what Mikko's probably going to say, and I'll say it, is I think I give a little bit more credit to Juventus's defense than I do to Lautaro not being kind of up to snuff today. They were all over him, and it's one of the things I've seen is the teams that we struggle the most against. Now, obviously, they're good defensive teams. They defend as a team really well, but one of the things we always struggle with, just the way we play, is if there's any defense that's aggressive enough and has kind of center forwards that are good and strong enough to really be all over either Thuram or Lautaro when they get that initial ball in from the midfield, and they have their back turned, or when they first get that ball and they're looking to swing it out wide or swing it back to the midfield, if they're glued to those guys, that's where we kind of struggle the most. If I had to pick one way to really stop our ability to attack, it's if someone can stop Thuram and Lautaro from receiving the ball and picking out the right pass with all the team running forward. That's the way it seems like where we would struggle the most. And I think Juventus did a good job of that today. There's been a couple other teams this year who have done a good job of that. Real Sociedad, I think, did a really good job of that against us in that first match we played. And so I think that's one of the areas where we struggle. And Lautaro he's talented. He has great skill, and he has a great shot, but he's not super strong. He's not. Even Arnautovic, I think, is a stronger player on the ball than Lautaro is. And so I think if that part of their game is disrupted, they start to lose a little bit of the kind of influence and dictation that they usually have on the pitch.
I'll say Bremer was man-marking Lautaro today, and there were times Bremer was following Lautaro far up the pitch. Lautaro was at the halfway line, and Bremer was there clipping at his heels, forcing him to release the ball earlier. And Bremer's a really good defender. There aren't too many players who I think are standouts in this Juve team. Danilo and Gatti are not defenders I have a lot of respect for. McKennie is not a player I have a lot of respect for, but Bremer might have the most individual quality of any non-attacker in their squad. So I chalked it up to a little bit to that. And yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, Lautaro probably needs a rest, but we're not in the position to give him one yet, I don't think, with Roma in line.
Unprovoked. What is this unprovoked CONCACAF attack right there on McKennie? I mean, this is just a little self-hating. What, like, from the American contingent or American/Canadian contingent? Come on.
McKennie, I don't like McKennie. I think he's, not to revert to stereotypes, but he was lazy at times today. Like, did you see the one time where he was all alone on the wing and Bastoni ran a country mile to like chase down the ball and beat McKennie to it and then bounce it off McKennie to win Inter a goal kick, and Bastoni sort of celebrated as if he'd scored a goal. I think our commentator was saying I'm not a huge McKennie guy. If we wanted to give plaudits to an American, I think you got to give it to Weah, who at least put forward something in attack. So, bigger picture, we're up 4 points in the league table. We have a game in hands. We have complete momentum. We have complete control of this title race. But they're not that far behind. So how do we keep this up? What's the path forward to making sure we win the Scudetto? Because the margin for error isn't much. I mean, it's nice to have the cushion, but if we drop points one match, they're back within a game of us, if that makes sense. Like, it's incredible we're having such a strong season, but they're still right there. So how do we keep this intensity moving forward, and how do we, put an end to the Scudetto race and, clinch it?
Yeah, I'm refusing to think of the game in hand as plus 7 points for obvious reasons. Look, the snide part of me wants to say, how do we secure the Scudetto? We sign a forward in January, but I won't do that because I'm not a petty man. And the time for that is past anyway. But in all honesty, it might be key to, or actually, you know what? It's not even a controversial take. It's been this way since the beginning of the season, but it just hasn't been met. And that is, we need to be able to extract more from these backup forwards, Arnautovic and Sanchez. That means more minutes, and obviously more output, more goals, more assists. And they're not doing that right now. They haven't done that all season. Then it starts with them being constantly injured and constantly just unavailable. So now that both of them seem fit, I would like to see them play a little bit more and hopefully develop a bit more, match fitness and just get into the swing of things a bit better, because, like I said earlier, Lautaro was not looking good today, following, I guess, look, I'm not going to start throwing out wild assumptions like he's sick or he's got the flu or whatever, who knows. But we rely on him so heavily, and Thuram, that we almost have to be a little bit paranoid anytime there's even a hint of something not 100% right with him. So whether the key is to integrate Mkhitaryan into the forward roles, or maybe even Klaassen. I found it funny that he came on today, but
that was a weird move. But
maybe he refused to. Maybe Fratesi refused to come on. Maybe he refused to.
Maybe Santi wasn't fit.
Yeah, maybe he refused to disgrace Fratesi with a 1 minute Eriksson appearance. But now look, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's Klaassen or Mkhitaryan as part of the forward pool, but I don't think that's hugely likely, to be honest. So the only plausible option I see is to just start giving Sanchez and Arnautovic more game time. Give them the odd start here and there. I guess bring them on earlier as well as subs.
I think they will see more time on the pitch, because I just looked the schedule, and 2 weeks from now it's Inter Salernitana, and from that match on we're gonna play in 1 month we're gonna play 8 matches. So I'm pretty sure that we will see maybe in that match Salernitana at home. That could be a good match to, I don't know, maybe start both of them. Is it too risky? Can't be too risky. They are. I think we should start them in that match, and like you said, give them more minutes just to like. Lautaro needs to like take some match off, like not play in one match at all, or if he could do that would be like great. What do you think? Like have a rest day completely, because it's gonna be a tough schedule now for the next month, and then March isn't any easier.
Well, I can think of 2 matches where we could have given Sanchez or Lautaro and Thuram 90 minutes of rest. I don't know if you guys can think of any offhand, like a game against Napoli.
Or the Coppa game, but whatever. As much as I kind of shudder at the thought of those two starting together, like we'll play them until they're bloody like fit. You know what I mean? We have no option. So even though I'm sure that when I see Arnautovic and Sanchez in the starting lineup, I'll just roll my eyes. Like for the greater good, it has to be done. We have to bring these guys up to speed. We have to get these guys contributing, and the only way to do that is to play them. So let's bite the bullet. It'll be painful, but let's get these guys match fit.
Yeah, I think Sanchez needs maybe even more minutes than Arnautovic, because it feels like Arnautovic is usually subbed in for Thuram, and he kind of is in our game already. But I'm not sure about Sanchez, because his playing style is so different. So it kind of changes the way we play when we have Sanchez on the pitch. Well, if it's the third forward or he's one of the 2 forwards, it's a bit different with him. So I kind of understand why he's not playing that much, but we can't like go full season with 3 forwards. So we need to have Sanchez there at some point. Anyway,
maybe we should have signed one then.
All right.
Yeah, maybe we should.
Let's not rehash this. I want to say though, I thought Klaassen. I liked Klaassen in his like 5 minutes. Like he was trying really hard. He was running. He was upfield. Basically, every time Juve had the ball in their own half, he was there pressing and just like waving his arms, encouraging his teammates forward. And like, I just appreciated the efforts. And I don't know, with Sensi, in all seriousness, like staying here and like we've got him for 6 months. Who cares if he gets injured now? Like maybe we get creative, and if we're leading in a match, we can try and have some fun here and like see how that goes. I don't know. I do like what your head's at though, Miko, with the Salernitana match. Like we have a big match against Roma next week. That Salernitana match, like we need to get our players a break in that match. Like we need to put it away early, and we need to be able to get away with not starting someone key.
Yeah, exactly.
And Klaassen's got a really good goal-scoring record for the national team, and for Ajax is not some just complete trasher. I don't know why we signed him, to be completely honest, but like this is at least a guy who's known for being able to play technical football and excel in that Ajax system. So it's not like some Gagliardini type brute who can't play football if his life depended on it. That said, is his level still at what we need? Probably not. But again, just the mold of the player is not that bad. Completely unrelated, but at the end of the game, I just remembered something at the end of the game. When the full-time whistle went, the first thing I saw was Thuram running onto the pitch, and he was hugging Lautaro, and then someone joined in for a group hug and made it a 3-man hug, and I cracked up when I saw that third person was Szczesny.
Yeah. What was that?
It looked like he was.
That was hilarious.
It looked like he was
I was
celebrating.
like, what? What is going on there?
Obviously it was just kind of like post match,
Yeah.
shaky hands and whatnot. But it just came across really funny. And yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Szczesny.
I didn't
we
notice
were
that
looking
too.
at signing him on a free transfer. There were reports of that last summer. I'm just saying, like his contract's
Maybe that's
up next
why.
year.
Yeah, maybe
Double
that's why.
agent.
He'd be such an Inter signing too. On Klaassen, you're right. I feel like he probably has more to offer than he's shown so far. And given our schedule, I think he'll have a few more chances. So, and it takes pressure off of him too, because he doesn't have to be like the first name off the bench. Like we have Fratesi, we have Asani, two capable, very good midfielders, and then Klaassen's there too. And so, I think as a sixth choice midfielder, he can do pretty well for us. And it's not even like we need these guys to give our starters a break for like an entire match. Like that's obviously preferred, but even if we can give them like a half or like 30, 60-minute rest in some of these matches that are coming up against not so great opponents like Salernitana, like Roma, we should be able to do that.
So you sneaked Roma into that category.
I wanted to sneak Milan in, but it would have been uncalled for. So
Jay would shoot that one down. All right, let's move forward to talking about the match against Roma, because this is a good natural letdown spot when you have to go and play an opponent who, there's some blood there. Lukaku, Dybala. It's a team with names, players we respect, and while they are absolutely horrible, when you're just coming off a huge emotional win over your rival, like this is a natural letdown spot. It'd be nice if we were playing, Lecce this week, or I was going to say a Sassuolo because they suck, but I forgot they own us. But you get the point. Like this is not the ideal opponent to be playing off such an emotional victory. So we get a week, no midweek fixtures or anything. We get a full week to rest up for Roma. Miko, you were previewing starting 11s, and it sounds like you'd go full throttle for Roma, even though they're struggling in the table. You wouldn't risk starting, say, Sanchez.
Yeah, I would go with like first team, complete first team. It's 1 week, and we don't have any midweek games here, so they can prepare easily here. And it's an away match. I think those Roma away matches have been usually not too easy, but I don't have a record from like close or recent years how it's been. But anyway, they just changed the coach. I don't know, do they play a bit different system now? Probably a bit more fluid football, but we should
maybe there's an actual plan on the pitch now with Mourinho gone.
Yeah, it could be, but I think we are like clear favorites for that match anyway. But I would go with the first team unless there's some tiredness or anything like that. Yeah.
Jay, as the Mourinho, I don't want to say hater, but the Mourinho is finished, primary advocate of this podcast. Have you seen Roma at all since they hired De Rossi? Obviously, they've won 2 games in a row with him against lesser opponents. I don't know if I want to give them too much credit for beating Verona and I think Salernitana, but they are getting results, which they weren't previously. This is still a very much a mid-table team. Just any thoughts on the new look Roma?
Don't forget they beat Al Shabab as well. No, I mean, this is not a good Roma side. The names are okay, and their wage bill is surprisingly high, but as we've been saying for ages...
Third highest in the league.
Yeah, I mean, for whatever reason, they just can't seem to get it together. Maybe... I mean, like I've been saying forever, Roma are the Tottenham of Italy. And maybe a Tottenham team needs a Tottenham-type Ange Postecoglou type unfancied coach rather than a big name like Conte or Mourinho, right? So in that sense, maybe De Rossi is the right guy for them, but I don't know what his coaching acumen is. As far as I know, it's nothing to write home about. I think he got Spal relegated or something like that from Serie B, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously, other than being like, I guess, the number 2 behind Totti in terms of Roman legends of the modern era, what does he bring to the table? I don't honestly know. And we shouldn't. It's an away game, so that's immediately makes it harder. I go with Miko that we should play the full team, but I wouldn't mind sneaking in 1 or 2 backups, like maybe start Sanchez next to Thuram, maybe play Fratesi instead of someone, or maybe Augusto instead of Dimarco. Well, I don't know. I don't even know who the backup and who the starter is between Darmian and Dumfries, but maybe one of them can switch out for the other. But yeah, long-winded way of saying we should win. Obviously, we need to treat it with a tiny bit of caution, just given that they're not complete trash. They're like 6th now, and there's only 2 points difference between 4th place and like 9th place, as far as I know. So they're not complete garbage, but we should be able to dispatch them pretty handily.
I just checked that they haven't kept a clean sheet since like 12th of November in Italy. They had one against FC Sheriff in Europe League on December, but they've been like, they concede goal in every fucking match. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, and that's all the while Mourinho's playing like 7-2-1 or whatever formation.
Yeah.
So it's pathetic.
3 at the back, 2 wing backs who are dropping deep the entire time.
But
I will say they have a prime opportunity to pick up a clean sheet tomorrow against Cagliari. I mean, at home, I think that's like, if they can keep a clean sheet tomorrow, then we're going to score 4 goals.
Yeah, well, with De Rossi, they had a matches against Verona at home and Salernitana away, and they still managed to win them like 2-1 both matches. So it's not like, it's a bit shaky still. So yeah, it's definitely we should win this match with confidence, and we just play our game, and there will be holes in the defense for certain. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to see rotation though. To be honest, I think we should go with our starters because we have a week rest, and then after this match we have another week rest before we play.
Yeah, exactly.
Salernitana. So I think we should play the starters. Just keep our foot on the pedal. I expect Milan and Juventus to drop points here and there again. And like Jay said, like we all discussed, like we shouldn't count the match in hand for much of anything. And even with that, like we're in good shape. So if we had a match midweek, either before or after, I would say maybe do some slight rotation. But the fact that we have, another 6 days rest after that, I think we go with the full starters. And then, if you get up 2-0 or something like that, then you can put the subs in. But I don't think Roma is the team that we should be taking any gambles against. And knowing Inzaghi, I don't feel like he's going to do that. I think he's pretty hell-bent on keeping as many of the starters in for Serie matches as he can. So I expect us to go out there and grab a good result.
Aren't you glad we got this Juve fixture when we did in terms of scheduling? Like we were fully rested. Huge. We can take a full week off after it. Like the schedule was really good to us in that respect.
Yeah, for sure. Because now we're like coming up on the Atletico Champions League, fixtures coming up, and I think we have a stretch where we have the Atletico match, and then we have like Napoli or Atalanta or something, and so they're going to start getting a little more compressed. And having played Juventus during that stretch, especially knowing that they have a 1 week break between every match that they ever play, would have been tough, I think. So yeah, this scheduling wise, this worked out pretty well for us, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. About Roma, I want to mention that when they visited Meazza last autumn, it was like Lukaku's return, but he was like completely ghost in that match. But it could be different this time. There wasn't Dybala last time, but now he's there, and Pellegrini, I think he's playing again. he's been scoring goals there recently. One against Salernitana, one against Verona. And was it same for Lukaku? No, it was dybala penalty. But anyway, these more skilled guys are there now, and I think they're gonna play a bit differently than what we saw in Meazza when they had no business in that match. But now they have these more skilled guys there, and maybe they can feed Lukaku better. So it's gonna be more interesting, especially it's at Stadio Olimpico and not at Meazza. So that makes the difference as well.
I wonder if you're gonna have Smalling pocket Lautaro.
I think he's hurt.
Yeah, he's not been playing. It's
no chance.
Mancinian.
Yeah, their defense is very weak. It's like some mishmash of Mancini, Llorente. I could have swore they sold Karsdorp. Apparently not. He's their starting right back right now. Like, it's not a good defense.
Yeah.
Wasn't Mourinho accusing Smalling of faking an injury essentially? Or
yeah,
not playing through the injury or something like that? Bloody ridiculous.
Yeah. But I don't know what's the truth in there. Is he really? He wasn't.
Truth is, they're both finished.
Let's see.
Yes, and I'm glad Roma saved us from ourselves when they extended Smalling.
Yeah, I know, right? There's so many.
Mean, there's still this summer. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Someone has to replace Pavard after we sell him.
Yeah, I know. Right? We missed out on Giallo because we refused to pay $3 million.
But there's no Belotti anymore.
They did lose Belotti to Fiorentina.
I don't want to go on too much of a rant here, but would Belotti not have been the perfect signing for us, on a cheap 6-month punt loan? As soon as he went to Fiorentina, I'm like, this is exactly what we needed to do. I think he's completely finished, but at least he can stay fit. He works his butt off when he's on the pitch. He's always running. I don't know. I was watching some of Fiorentina's epic collapse, and I think Belotti played the first 60 minutes, and that felt like a prime opportunity. They only paid $900K for his loan for the season.
$750 actually. So
$750. There you go.
Yeah, $750,000 for a 6-month loan, and it's we couldn't do this. You know what I mean? And obviously, if anything, Fiorentina are a closer rival to Roma right now in terms of targets. They're both targeting kind of top 4, top 5, whatever. So, Fiorentina direct competition. So they loaned him to direct competition. So it's not like they wouldn't have loaned him to us. So yeah, it's just
it was more about we just didn't want to do any moves.
Exactly. That's
what it looks. $0.
Yeah, but I don't see how. Look, the market's over. Don't want to get bogged down in market talk, but I just. Like I said, I can't fathom how anyone looked at our forward lineup and just said, no, that's fine. And especially when there were people like Belotti available for $750K, it just seems insane that we didn't pursue it in any way. So whatever, is what it is. Let's just
do some predictions.
Yeah, let's just do some predictions.
All right, Irfan, what are you thinking?
Man, I'm thinking 0-2 Inter win. I'll go with goals from Barella and DiMarco.
Jay?
I don't know, man. I could go 1-0 for us. As you said, it is a natural kind of letdown spot, so we could maybe drop points here, 0-0, 1-1 kind of thing, but I'm going to say 1-0 to us, and I'll say thuram goal. The Lautaro drought has just begun.
A nice cold dose of cynicism to finish the podcast. Miko, what do you have?
I'm gonna go with 3-1 win, away win. We're gonna end up conceding a goal for a long time. But we score
a Lukaku penalty is your most likely outcome there.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it Lukaku or Dybala? I don't know which one is that. I think Dybala is the first one. But anyway, we're gonna score 3 goals, and it's gonna be not easy, but fairly contained win. And Lautaro is back scoring. He's gonna score 2 goals, and then I'm gonna give 1 goal to thuram.
I'm going to make the most outrageous prediction yet, and that's we're going to get a Buchanan debut in this Roma match because we are going to annihilate them 3-1. I'll take goals from thuram, Lautaro, and Klaassen with a Lukaku penalty.
Nice.
I want to see a Klaassen goal before he leaves. Wait a second, he's not on loan, is he?
He's a permanent signing, I think.
Yeah.
Did we sign him for a 1-year deal?
Yeah, it's 1 year.
Yeah. So he may as well be on loan. But I would like to see a Klaassen goal. I think he deserves one. Not that he's done anything, but
He deserves one, but he's not.
So if you want to see Buchanan, then you're anticipating like an early yellow card for Darmian, and then a sub in by Dumfries, and then an immediate yellow card for Dumfries, because that's the only chance Buchanan has of getting it.
I'm predicting we're up 3-0 in the 86th minute. He puts Buchanan on, who immediately concedes a penalty to Lukaku and never plays again.
That sounds about right.
One thing that was hilarious in this Juventus match today was like when Vlahovic picked up the yellow card, I immediately went, "Oh man, now he's gonna have to get subbed out." And then I was like, "Wait, I guess that's not the case for most teams."
Yeah, that's an Inzaghi trademark. It's not unique to him among top tier coaches. I've never seen it before.
Was he going to sub himself out when he picked up a booking?
The only time I've seen him not do it is the goalkeeper.
Oh yeah,
Summer got the yellow card against Fiorentina. I was thinking there was a split second where I was like, no, surely not. Surely he can't put Aldero in. But thankfully,
Aldero warming up.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did any of our guys pick a yellow? Mkhitaryan got a yellow.
thuram got one going off the pitch because he was having some fun with Rabiot.
Okay.
Didn't Bastoni get booked as well?
Yeah, I was gonna say I think Bastoni got one too.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't show it at least here.
Oh.
But yeah, Mkhitaryan got his yellow at 51st minute, but then
he left him on for a good chunk after that happened.
Well, he played the full match.
Mkhitaryan finished the match. Yeah.
Yeah. Barella was taken out at
That's right. I got my Klaassen substitute mixed up.
Yeah.
Oh, that explains it. The guy on the side accidentally entered 23 instead of 22 on that digital, substitution board thing. That explains why Inzaghi did not sub Mkhitaryan off. And honestly, Klaassen for Mkhitaryan makes more sense than Klaassen for Barella, but
it was like hard force meets a movable object of like, okay, you can't take Mkhitaryan off, but you have to take off a player on a yellow card. What do you do?
Pretty much, yeah.
But guys, don't you feel like Inzaghi probably gets so much joy from the fact that in his system he's got Pavard and Bastoni as his right center and left center backs? I mean, I can't think of players who are more perfectly designed for everything that he wants to do than those two guys.
Yeah, I forgot to say my own mentions about Pavard. I think he was maybe our best player in this match. Well, calhanoglu, good candidate as well, as mentioned many times. But I feel like Pavard is exactly like Bastoni, but on the right side, that he's very active on the offensive part. But also I would say he's even better than Bastoni because he's like a true defender at the same time.
Yeah.
And
he's a much better defender than Bastoni.
He doesn't leak. Like Bastoni, time to time, he leaks a bit. Like sometimes, like opponents just go through him. Like I think today once happened that one counter with McKennie and Vlahovic. But Pavard, he's not like that. He makes those interceptions and he's very
he's
secure
a center
at the back
by trade. He's always wanted to be a center back. Yeah. So
but I want to mention that the way he attacks, I like it a lot because he's very very proactive, and he wants to get the ball. And like in that goal, he showed to Barella that, okay, give me the ball, and he ran there, and Barella was like, okay, well, I will give you the ball then, and then it was on the net a bit later. I really like Pavard with his approach to the game when we are pressing the opponent to their box, and he's like really wanting to be part of the offensive plays as well. I love the guy.
He made the result today possible because I feel like Juventus was prepared to. They're man marking Dimarco pretty well, and they were shutting down that Bastoni Dimarco side pretty well. But I feel like they didn't have as much of an answer for our attack on the right, which is someplace we don't usually love to attack from. But because we had Darmian and a little more aggressive play from Pavard, I feel like we caught Juve off guard a little bit. It also nullified Kostic really well. Kostic didn't really have the ability to get behind us a lot. He's a player who's burned us a few times. So just, extra credit to Pavard for kind of keeping all of that in tow on that side.
Yeah, you're right. The goal came from the right side as well. So I think that's a good point. With Pavard's technicality, we do have the ability to attack down the right a lot more compared to when we play like Darmian and Dumfries. It just feels really stubborn, like kind of, like butting your head against the wall. With Pavard, you've got, even though he's a centre back and these guys are full backs, wing backs, he lifts his head up. You can tell there's a purposefulness with the way he crosses. He'll go for these like kind of high, kind of dipping and looping, curling crosses rather than just like, rather than like a Darmian and kind of Dumfries cut back at the last second, you know what I mean? Approaching the byline. Pavard has that technique to be able to, who cares if there's a man on him, he'll loop it over him, with an accurate cross. Whereas, and he wants to make these passes in between the lines and in between marking men and things like this. Whereas Darmian and Dumfries are generally too risk averse to go for that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I think that's an excellent point. Actually, we scored the goal from the right side, and Pavard's technicality and intelligence allows us to be a much more viable attacking, or provide a much more viable attacking threat down that side, and we don't have to just only rely on Bastoni, Dimarco.
And he has the legs and the lungs like to run up and down the pitch that he can be on the opponent's box, and then he just runs back. I feel like Bastoni is a type of player that when he plays that type of that kind of game, he has to be subbed out at some point anyway. Usually,
maybe that's why we keep getting a Cherubby at left center back.
Yeah. At least that's my like interpretation why Bastoni keeps getting subbed out all the time, because he's just so tired because he runs so much up and down.
Speaking of a Cherubby, I was going to ask, does he expire this season or next season?
Next season it's gonna be.
Oh God.
It's Cherubby and De Vrij has 2-year contracts, so it will be
18 months left essentially, both of them.
Yeah. So it's not like maybe not optimal at this point, but it is what it is. I think he struggled a bit against Vlahovic.
I thought he did okay. I thought he did okay. It wasn't this game that that I thought he struggled in. It was the ones before. But
maybe,
considering how De Vrij played against Nzola, I definitely was happy to see a Cherubby back in the lineup. But De Vrij looked okay when he came on for the final couple of minutes as well. So yeah, look, if they both continue to do what they need to, I guess then it's not hugely concerning. But I was just thinking, all this praise for Pavard and so richly deserved. Poor Bissek, when the hell are we going to play Bissek, but again, it is what it is.
Well, there's going to be a lot of matches like we said before.
Look, I just hope Bissek is considered basically the locked on number 2 behind Pavard and not Darmian, for example. So
yeah. Yeah, I think what Inzaghi talked in the pre-match conference, I think he mentioned Bisek that he's it was more about the Buchanan talk, but then he compared him to Bisek. Like Bisek was like this guy who came in and he had to learn how the team plays and so on. And now he's already like part of the team in a sense that you can use him, and he's been used pretty well when he started playing. So
I need a Pavard goal. That's what I need.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I want to change my prediction. 3-2. Pavard, Sanchez, and Klaassen, and then Lukaku and Dybala. Let's make it a nice, big, happy game for everyone involved.
I think if you put money on those 3 Inter players scoring, I think you'd be able to retire if that successfully hit.
I could use that retirement money right about now. But
all right. Well, we'll wrap it there. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back next week with a Roma recap and a look ahead to Salernitana. But have a good one, and let's go celebrate this victory.
Hey,
Doug agrees.
Yeah.
Come on.